guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brenda and I film from Cameroon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about some of the things I know now that I wish someone told me earlier. This will be all about my childhood, growing up, and all of that. So this video was actually inspired by Olori Esho, this Nigerian YouTuber called Olori Esho. I hope I am pronouncing her name correctly. And when I was just watching the video, it was like going down memory lane. It brought back so many memories. I was like, wow, I'm happy somebody can actually have this conversation. So why can't I also have the conversation? So today is going to be interesting. Also, for some extra information, my birthday is going to be in July, and I feel leaving my early 20s to my mid 20s, I feel I can also have the conversation. So if this is something you want to watch, if this is something that is going to interest you, please do not move an inch. I'll be right back after the short break. So identity crisis is actually something that I wrestled and struggled with a lot in my early 20s and my teenage years. So I would always find myself in that position where I would always want people to accept me, to validate me, to like me, to belong where I was normally not supposed to be, just because I felt like, okay, being in that position, being in that place, people were going to love me more. And if you're someone who went to boarding school like I did, you understand that so many children who went to boarding school struggled with identity crisis. And I'm just going to throw more light, especially in the sense of, because I was way younger, I would always want to live up. I would always not want people to feel like, oh, she's not supposed to do this because she's young, or oh. So I would either always live in denial of who I was as a person. I would always want people to think that I'm either too mature or too big to be part of conversations, to be part of outings. I would always want to belong in places I was not necessarily supposed to be. So the first thing I struggled a lot in my early 20s and my teens was identity, having a sense of self and just owning up and being that person. Even if people don't accept you, you can actually accept yourself like that. So identity crisis is the first thing I'll be talking about today, and I just want to encourage anybody who is going through the same thing that authenticity is priceless. If you are not authentic, people can feed off from it. And now, because I know better, I think I am encouraging you all to do better. So when you know better, even the energy, the kind of people you attract, the aura, the vibrations you give, that's why you constantly see people coming into your life, leaving out of your life, you making unnecessary associations and all of that, because you don't have a better sense of identity. So if you're in this place, I understand you perfectly, but don't stay there. It's important to outgrow certain places, because what doesn't evolve actually stagnates, and what stagnates stink. So the second thing I'll be talking about today that I struggled a lot in my early 20s is I was focusing on relationships with people other than myself. So in my early 20s and my early teens, I would try to build relationships with friends, love relationships, boyfriends, and all of that. Like, I spent more of that time, rather than focusing on my personality, my emotions, everything that had to be with me as a person. It was all about other people. What will my friends say? It's my boyfriend going to accept that? Is it? And at the end of the day, I would always feel emotionally bankrupt, because I would give more than I have. And how can you give out of what you don't have? So I would focus a lot on other relationships than myself. So if you're watching this video and you're in your early teens, or you're in your early 20s, or you're even in your mid 20s or your late 20s, I just want to encourage you all to please focus on the right things, understanding that life is in seasons and people are not always going to be, because these relationships you're investing in, at some point they are no longer going to be part of your story. At some point they are not going to be part of your life, and there is nothing much you can do about it. Not because they are bad, not because you are also bad yourself, but because they are no longer part of your story, and because they have to leave. So the only person you will have for yourself for the rest of your life is yourself, and it's only wise to invest more in yourself than to invest in other people. It's true we are called to serve. It's true we live in fellowship, we live in koinonia, we're always together as people, but you can only live out of the abundance of what you feel inside. Remember, you can only outpour, you can only give from the abundance of what you have. If you don't have, you will definitely not give. So one of the biggest mistakes I made was to definitely invest a lot in relationships, especially love relationships, friendships, family, and all of that, and not necessarily investing in myself. So guys, this conversation is getting really interesting, and I'll be going at this point. Before I go to the third point, I want you to please, if you can relate with any of these points I've already mentioned, just drop it in the comment section. Let us have a conversation, let us talk about these things. So now the third thing I would also want to talk about in this video is, I honestly wish that someone told me that life is not perfect. In my early teens, in my early 20s, I struggled with just letting life unfold itself the way it should. I was trying to be too careful, too cautious, that I was not actually being myself. I was always trying to minimize mistakes, risk, faults, problems, and all of that. Like, I would be in a situation, I would really want to talk about something, but I will not say it because I don't want to be judged, I don't want to be hated. I would always try my best to just be, I was always on the fence. I was not living my life, but I was always on the fence. I'm going to give a practical example. One of the reasons I don't and I have never taken alcohol till date is because I would always ask myself as a teenager, how will I behave if I get drunk? I've never been drunk in my life. But I'm not saying some people get drunk. I don't say there's something wrong with getting drunk. But for me, it wasn't just something or a position I wanted to be with. So I'll ask myself, why should I even take alcohol if alcohol can make me misbehave? So I thought life has a manual. Like, life is straight, life doesn't have obstacles, life doesn't have challenges. And because of that, there are a lot of things that maybe I could learn of, or maybe I could experience. There are certain experiences I never had as a teenager or in my early 20s because I was just being too cautious. There are some friendships I would just completely ignore. I would just avoid some conversations I'm not even going to have. So the third mistake or the third lesson was thinking that life is perfect, life has a manual, and you can be too careful, you can be too cautious, and life is just going to be beautiful. Just for me to discover that you can still be all of these things. You can still be a planner, you can still be super intelligent, you can still be very hardworking, very smart, and still challenges will come in, life will happen, obstacles will unfold, and all of that. So that was the third lesson and the third mistake I did in my early 20s. So now the fourth mistake and challenge I had as a teenager growing up is I did not save. If you're watching this video and you're having whatever source of income, no matter how small it is, please encourage yourself and build the discipline to save. I did not save. I was lucky enough to have opportunities or to be blessed with platforms that require that I actually save. As a matter of fact, I had my first salary at a very young age. At 2021, I was already earning a salary, but I didn't save enough. Let me not even be nice about it. I did not save. So when you're in your teens and your early 20s and whatever aspect of life, savings is very important. Build the consciousness and the mindfulness to save. Don't just live for every other day. Like, you live in the moment or in the seasons of today you have a lot of money, the money is gone, and then the next thing, no. Build the habit and the routine, build the discipline, if I may say, to save as much as you can. In my early 20s, I did not really save a lot. And now that I'm in a different season in my life, I wish I did, because there are some things now that I want. For example, there are some things that you may just want to buy. Then I did not really have the responsibilities I have now, because I was under my parents' care. I wasn't paying rent, I wasn't paying bills, I wasn't really paying a lot, but I was using my money to buy friendships, to buy authenticity, to buy acceptance, to buy validation. I'll buy things I don't really want or I don't really need, just because I just want to be accepted by people. So please, if you can now, save, save, save. As little as it is, even if it's 1,000 francs, 500, whatever currency you are, whatever country you are, whatever currency you use, just try to save. Rainy days are a must. You being a Christian, you being a planner, you knowing how to, if no matter how much you figure out your life, there will definitely always be rainy days. So it's important to always have a contingency plan. It's always good to have an investment schedule, something you've invested in, something that is not just you spending, but you know it can actually bring you money. So savings is something I did not do, that I want to encourage you all watching to do. And the fifth, is it the fifth? Yeah, this should be the fifth point. The fifth thing, and the fifth and the last thing I'll be talking about today, that mistake that I did in my early 20s that I'll not want to carry on the way forward, is I refuse to own up to my spirituality. Like, I was always scared that, oh, people are going to see me as too religious, or what are people going to say, I'm trying to be too spiritual, too Christian, too. So there were a lot of things I knew, a lot of beliefs, my convictions, things I held on to, that was basically my identity, that I was doing a lot of that behind the scenes and not in front of, like, out there. I will not do it with my friends. I will not do it with my classmates, with my colleagues. You know, in the office, I'm just any other person, but in church, I'm that girl who serves, who has, you know, that character that we put on only in church. So I wish I could really own up to, because who I am as a person today, what you see today, is a result of the things I was conscious building in my spirit, in my faith, my, like, everything I am is as a result of who I am as a son of God. So I feel like me hiding that side of me was making me not to be authentic to myself. And the first and the fifth point actually ties together with authenticity, identity crisis. So I wanted to be accepted. Because I wanted to be accepted, there were certain things about me that I would intentionally hide. I will not be comfortable talking about my faith, about my values, about my beliefs, because I'm scared that if I share them with people, people will not love me, people will not accept me. So if you're a child of God, if you're conscious, because we are all children of God, if you've come to the consciousness of your identity of who you are as a son of God, you should not be ashamed of it, because that is who you are as a person. It is not as though it's like you're not acting a movie where you put on a character and you take off a character. That is your reality, that is your nature. So if you're watching this video, don't be ashamed at any point to try to disconnect yourself from your source because you feel like you'll not be accepted in the world. Trust me, you have a voice, you're legit. There are people who are waiting for you to tell your stories. Sometimes I really feel bad that there were some things I knew that I would purposely not tell my friends, and they would engage and indulge in those things. But on my own, I would never do those things. I would never do some of those things. But still, I'll just be silent. I'll see my friends doing them. But I'll be scared that if I tell them, oh, please don't do this thing, they will not like me. They will not tell me about their boyfriends. They will not tell me about their relationships. And then because of that, I'll need to hide certain things about myself, just because I wanted to fit in the friendships. And this is definitely something I'm going to do in another video. I'm going to be talking about how, like, about sexual purity, virginity, and all of that, and how it was something I had to keep from my friends for the longest time, because I never wanted them to judge me as being, I wanted them to accept me and be free around me. So I'll have to hide who I was so that they can accept me. So these are some of the things you hold on to, you find yourself trying to compromise or to negotiate or to dilute because you don't want to come off as being judgmental or being too spiritual. So these are actually the 5 things that I wish. And this conversation is a healthy conversation because it's like I'm talking to myself. As I'm talking with you, I'm going down memory lane of some of the experiences I have. I don't think I have it yet. There are moments where I don't save. There are moments where I try to be somebody else, be it at the workplace. There are moments where I battle with a lot of things. But at least, as Oprah will always say, when you know better, you're expected to do better. And I'm happy that I can have this conversation now and I've outgrown some of these things. And because I've outgrown some of these things, I want you all to please journey with me, as your journey is definitely going to be different from mine. I don't want your journey to be like mine, but I want you to also get to that point where you can share with us all that these are the things I've actually outgrown, and these are the things that I feel like they are profitable, and these are the things that I feel like they are not, because as a teenager you just feel like you can do anything, which is permissible, but because something is permissible doesn't mean it's profitable for you, because the consequences of the choices you make are going to live with you for the rest of your life. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to put a link of Olori Esho's video in the description box. You can also check out her video. I'm encouraging you all, please drop it in the comment section. What are some of the things you struggled with? What are some of the things you're still struggling with? And what are some of the things that you've actually journeyed across those things? Just drop it in the comment section. Please also remember you can check me out on other social media platforms, and if it's necessary, I'll be doing a part 2 of this video. If it's not necessary, drop it in the comment section. If you want to know more of some of the things that we struggle with as teenagers, we struggle with as young adults and all of that, just drop in the comment section. If necessary, I'll do a part 2 of it. Thank you so much for watching.